Amazing. Good morning. Monday morning. Hope everyone is having a wonderful morning. It's literally phenomenal in the markets right now. Looking at the DXY, we know that it's shaping up pretty well. We've got this nice progressive push away, especially on the daily. There's really nice progression. However, we need to bear in mind one thing. This is a possibility, this 1, 2, 3, but at the same time, it's more so we have to be aware that this can progressively and aggressively at this point move forward. I'm just looking for something a little bit more larger in terms of a continuation. Would I take this? This is very possible it can just keep going, but I don't think I would jump on that at all. I don't trade the DXY, but obviously I do trade what correlates with it. And Euro USD is actually pretty nice, and I wouldn't be surprised if this just declined. I did evaluate this entry this morning earlier, um, and if it was an entry that I would have taken, but then with the risk that it kind of held, I was kind of not really convinced that it's a trade. I mean, you could probably still take it now for roughly a little bit more, around about 26 pip stop loss to the low, but it's just not in my sort of risk reward. Of course, we're only looking at that as the first target zone. This can just drop off aggressively and move down to about an 11% position. So in terms of a position, it's not a bad position right now. It's just right now, what I'm kind of looking at is we have that forecast which we just saw, but then this just kind of could become something a little bit larger before we drop off. And I'll be looking for that little bit larger pattern opposed to these small ones. Only because of preference at this point, but the small one can definitely drop off and we could be creating something larger down here opposed to up here. So that's basically it for EU. Still looking for that short position. Moving on to Aussie US dollar. Um, I believe, similar price action to EU, but once again, I'll be looking for something a little bit more in terms of what I would preferably want to trade. This could be something a little bit more flat, which is nice. I would not kind of cross that one off completely. However, I think that is a good possibility in itself as well, that this just kind of just makes its way down here, comes back up, and then we sell off. That would be also very nice. I think that's more probable at this point, but also being aware of this sort of override point here. So I'll just mark that as an inflection point, and then price could correct and tap into that. Aussie Swiss. So this is pretty much what I've been waiting for. I did see this small correction here, same as Euro US dollar. I was evaluating it. It wasn't really something that I was willing to actually take a trade on, but I'll be looking for sort of correction over here. Like I said, it could be a trade which will come in by tomorrow, day after. But once it shapes up, and I'll be ready to go short. Obviously, we can see over here, this took roughly around about, let's just look at it in days. Yeah, roughly about 3 days. Look at, mm, yeah, about 2 days to shape up there. So if we kind of just use that bit of price and we look for something quite similar, it won't be exactly the same, obviously. If we look for something quite similar over here, we this is basically what I'll be looking at. So either there or below. Below's better in my opinion, but even so, this is not a problem at all. Aussie CAD needs some time to develop, same as Aussie Swiss. I'll just give it time to breathe. Once it's set, it's set. But this could just drop off aggressively as well. And then Euro Aussie as well, I think has massive potential. There was this position here, but I will be waiting for price to come back down. So there was a position in here that I would have potentially opted in to hold, but not really for me. And then that's basically the position there. So you could basically hold about 2% there. But what I would really be waiting for is for this to come up here, drop off there, and then go in for the long. And then I'll be in for the position and I won't really have to be as concerned. So position, so fourth, and then take it to this high around about 7%, bearing in mind that this position here could be the one as well, so that two touch is still very much valid, and then to that inflection point over here, so this would be the override 17%. So that would be the trade that I'll be looking for. That's basically one that I'll be keeping on watch. Will it shape up today? Maybe, maybe not. Just depends on the last leg over here. Aussie pairs, am I going to put it on watch? I don't see why not, to be honest. I think, looking at that, I don't think I'll put Aussie Swiss on watch though yet. Aussie US dollar could shape up but it's not one that I'm going to opt in for immediately. Euro US dollar, it's not really at this price action I need. So moving on to the wildcards. I think personally, I really do like this, but at the moment, GBP CAD is not ready yet. I think we're looking for one more little corrective little squeeze here, and we tap into this, and then we drop off. Or what could be interesting is if we create something like this, and then we go, and then we come in over here and come back up, and then we create something like a head and shoulders. That would be interesting. But for now, I'm not going to entertain that short. I think in terms of a risk reward, I definitely could probably get a pretty good risk reward on that. Um, yeah, that's not a bad position in my eyes, but to be honest, it's just so aggressive in this area that it's not something that I'm just going to want to play around with. So I'll leave it, to be honest, in my opinion. It's not the sort of position that I would want to get very aggressive in, especially in this area. GBP Aussie. GBP Aussie, just like Euro Aussie, I think it's phenomenal. I think there was just some solid trades in here. I'm looking for that similar sort of price action to EA, where I would just like it to come down a little bit further. This is common though. Like I've seen price action like this on EA where it doesn't quite come to the low, just taps in over here and then just shoots off. So I would not be surprised at all if this just continued impulsively and just moved. However, I'm going to stick to what I am looking for, and essentially I will just take this over here, and this could kind of become something more angled like this. That is a strong, well, no, I wouldn't say that's a strong possibility. I would say more so I'm looking for something a little bit more flat. So at this point, I'll be patient. Either we reject from, well, it's a little bit of a tricky one at this point, to be honest. Because we are moving up somewhat aggressive. So yeah, I'll just wait. I mean, I'll look for something a little bit more like that, and then get involved. But at the moment, it's just not jumping out to me and saying, "Hey, take a trade." It's just one of them ones where I think it's a solid, interesting pair at the moment, and it's in such a good area. But I just don't want to just jump in the market for no reason. For example, if I just put a trade on there, I would have to put roughly around about that much. And then in terms of a risk reward, I'm not saying it's terrible, but at that risk, it's not worth it. Whereas if I could get in over here, I could probably squeeze it in there, and I change. Yeah, so it potentially becomes a 42% position compared to a 6% position. So at this point here, it's just kind of where I'm going to position myself, and I would like to position myself in a very strategic, aggressive place, opposed to just kind of being extra safe at this point. Not to say that you can't take that extra safe position, still a very good valid position. Just there holds a little bit more risk in my opinion. This position over here is just not yet quite where I need it to be honest. I was looking for something more so like that, but at this point it looks like we could get something a little bit smaller, kind of drops a bit more, comes back up and creates something larger down here. So the larger flag could actually be a bit further than I expected. Is this a good area to be shorting? I think so, actually, to be honest. This could potentially be, but I mean, at this point, there's not enough data. But you could take a short position in here. I think even so from here is not bad, but it holds a lot more risk. And then, you probably, yeah, it's not worth it. It's completely not worth it. I think look for something a little bit larger, in my opinion. Looking at GBP yen, it's going to be good. I think, it might correct, fill the gap, and then come back up. So bear that in mind. But if we don't fill that gap right now, that's even better, in my opinion, because what will happen is it kind of gives me that extra confluence as well that we could come up here and then come aggressively back, fill the gap, and continue. So that's something I'm banking my bucks on, and the similar price action with US dollar yen. But with US dollar yen, it's a little bit more. I think this profit target is not one that I'm going to really be eyeing up. This has kind of gone this forecast. So more so, if we do come in, fill this, and then go, okay, that's interesting. But more so now, I think we could aggressively move up to these areas and then come. So that's basically the price action I'm looking for. I'm not looking for that override. I'm also looking at this point or this point. So I will take this off, and if I miss it at this point, I'll just accept that. Like I genuinely will just accept the fact that, you know, I made a personal financial decision to opt in to not take a trade here and to opt in to take a trade up here. So it is what it is at the end of the day. You know, we take the trades that we want to. And I feel like it holds a little bit less risk at this point. But then again, remember we have inflection points and so forth, so it can go much further. I will be evaluating with GBP yen. I think they will move together, so I will wait patiently to see how this works. You know, I think it does have massive potential. It just means that we have to be a little bit extra patient with these pairs. So that's why they're kind of on the wild cards. I think Euro USD is solid. I think, you know, the opportunity to sell here, the sell here was phenomenal. Opportunity with Aussie US dollar here, and then the double top in there, that was great. And then there was an opportunity in there as well. This is just going to develop. If that develops, that's beautiful. You know, even to that low, if I can squeeze it in, you know, if I just call it an over here, and let's just say we're taking around about 14 pip stop losses, even suitable, there's a 6% there. And then if we do, you know, which is, I think at this point, very probable, 25%. So, you know, a lot of these trades can actually turn over your portfolio. You just need to be psychologically ready to hold that aggressive push to this trend line now. So just waiting for that corrective price. It is possible that we could move back up, but at this point in time, I'll look for that hover sell. CAD, once again, needs development, so I'm not going to touch that at the moment. Beautiful position, honestly. EA, beautiful. I think we're going to have an aggressive drop off. It looks like we're going to get some momentum coming into the market when we get some news here. So I will be using this as potentially a piggyback to go long. But if we do correctively just squeeze, yeah, that might. I mean, yeah, I'll wait for this to drop off, and then over here probably we'll just kind of move slowly and then create some sort of continuation and go. So I think this might time in well. So for a Tuesday trade, definitely need to be by the charts this evening, which is not a problem at all because I think this will be an evening trade. We've got some news coming out there as well, so we'll piggyback off that, and that's going to be really nice. And it's going to cross off with a lot of Aussie pairs. So Aussie might be kicking off tonight, well, early morning tomorrow, because we don't trade the news, but we're going to use it as volatility to give us that push that we need today. So bear that in mind, keep an eye out. GBP pairs needs more development in my opinion. I need it to kind of create a floor before I get entered, but that's basically it. So it's a pretty short video today. It's been a phenomenal morning, to be honest. It just needs more time to develop. So I wouldn't start FOMOing and jumping into any trades immediately just because the market's open. It can happen. You know, sometimes the market's open, we get this rush of excitement and we just want to jump in the markets and take trades. It's not the way to trade. You know, the market needs to take a break, it needs to take a breath, it needs to start creating something for you to actually get involved in. If we start jumping in everywhere, we'll take out so many unnecessary losses, and then when you do go to take a position, you'll end up not being able to take the size of the position, but also you'll screw your risk reward because you'll be taking pretty much a profit but minus all of the losses, so you might end up just taking a profit towards your break even, which won't really be something that will satisfy you. So you'll end up taking a larger position size than you want to, and then you'll end up ruining your day, your portfolio, and then you'll end up cycling. So this is why journaling is very important, and this is why also learning from your mistakes and not making these mistakes over and over again. It's good to have people like myself and other people, other traders around you, so that they can highlight these points so you don't make these mistakes over and over again. So ending a note on that, have a good week, and I'll catch you in